heat bomb. And we reduced these by quite a few degrees. They were up well above 60, and we put them down at 57.1, which I just thought was, and this is another strength, like 48.5 is one of my favorites. We use it a lot. I think it works pretty universally well for most spirits. Certainly, it's one of the best strengths that preserves power, like real power. And if you've brought it down to that point from, above 60, whatever, you tend to get more freshness in the whiskey as well. So it shows really well. And I think that doing that also creates a product which is going to travel better in bottle in the years ahead. I'm a believer that whiskey does continue to change a bit and evolve a bit in bottle slowly over the decades. And doing bottling now, my background is obviously old and rare whiskies or old bottles and working in auctions and things like that. Tasted a lot of these old bottles. I'm very aware of what shows well after it's been in glass for many years. And you see patterns that, proper bottling strengths, clean bottlings, minimal intervention, certain types of malt whiskey, whatever, certain profiles, certain distilleries that tend to just do really well in glass and stand up to the time in glass very well. And so that's what I'm thinking about when I'm doing my own bottlings now, is what are drinkers going to experience, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever. What's their experience of this whiskey likely to be? What can we do to try and make sure that, even someone that opens one of these bottles decades from now is still going to have a great experience? So that's something that we factor in, and that, this is a very good example of that, bottling with a few degrees, 57.1, keeps all the power, but just shows in a bit more, fresher way. Blends definitely do not travel in bottle as well as malts. I think it's just something about the much lighter base spirit grain, that makes them more fragile and susceptible to things like light and changing temperature and oxidization, all these things. So you far more commonly find blends from the 70s or 60s have got like really old bottle flavors and like very vegetal cardboardy flavors. But then when you go back to the 50s and 40s, when those same blends had much higher malt components, they're actually much more full-bodied whiskies that have survived better. And it's almost like the grain whiskey just acts as a sponge for the malt and just absorbs and assimilates the kind of malt whiskey flavors. So it's really interesting, like trying, like Shivers is, or Bell's a good example. Try old Bell's from the 50s versus a 70s bottling, and it's, chalk and cheese completely. So yeah, a bit of a dovetail there.